On tap, Infinium. Hi, I'm James Knott, and this is the Better Beer Authority. Today we're drinking Infinium, which is a collaboration between Samuel Adams and Germany's Weihenstephan, the world's oldest brewery. This champagne-like beer is made under the restrictions of reiheitsgebot, which means they use only the 4 basic ingredients in beer: barley, hops, water, and yeast. The brewers describe it as light and dry yet complex, with a sparkling effervescence. It is dry hopped with Bavarian noble hops to add a light citrus flavor. It is 10.3% ABV, and don't expect a lot of bitterness because it only has 10 IBUs. They use Samuel Adams ale yeast and bottle condition it with a Belgian yeast strain. There are 278 calories in a 12-ounce serving. Chef, is that too many calories for you?
You know, I am trying to watch my girlish figure. I mean, that definitely is quite a bit of calories for a typical beer. But again, when you're talking a 10% ABV beer, I don't think you can expect anything less. I mean, it definitely comes out as a sweet notes, kind of a caramel sweetness to it.
Joby, what were your first impressions with this beer?
Yeah, James, I mean, when we first drank it before we turned on the cameras, we were talking about the taste coming off like a Werther's Original. I know a lot of people said that. It does. It's got that caramel taste. I don't get much of the caramel in the smell, as I get a lot more in the taste. But these guys, I think, got it in the aroma of the beer. But I mean, it's a good beer. The champagne comes off, the champagniness of it comes off like right at the beginning, but then kind of mellows out. So it gets that bubbly, in your nose, bubbly taste, like right from the get-go, at least for me.
Yeah, Mark, Sam Adams describes this as champagne-y. I mean, if you're looking at this, are you thinking champagne?
I mean, based on the color, the overall consistency, the way the head forms, I mean, I wouldn't look at this beer and say, oh, that's clearly a champagne. You know, some of the effervescence and some of the esters that you get coming off the nose may seem, you know, pseudo-champagne-y, I guess, if you're really looking at it like that. I know the yeast strain that they use really seems like champagne, but it's more on the Belgian side than anything else. And so I don't know that I would call it champagne-y, but it has some of the characteristics that could be construed as such.
Going off of Mark's thing real quick, you can't really see it much in our glasses, but if you look at James' glass, the bubbles are really going up. So in that essence, it's definitely looks like a champagne type. I mean, I think this is
a pretty champagne-y beer. I mean, it does have some more bubbles to it. I don't think this is any Miller High Life, the true champagne of beers.
They describe it as light, dry, and effervescent. I mean, is that what you guys think when you?
I think that it feels kind of light. I mean, I think it's very coating while still relatively light-bodied. But I couldn't really call this, you know, a champagne or even necessarily champagne-esque. I think it has some characteristics of it, but
I mean, we talk about light, dry. Light. Yeah, it is relatively light. There's no added hops into it. I mean, there's not a lot of bitterness to it, so it does make a light, drinkable beer. But when we talk about the dryness, it's not like a dry, like an alcohol drying. What I get is just a dry where the flavor just finishes.
Chef, what's your rating?
I'm gonna go 6 on this. I think it's a decent beer. I think it's solid flavors, but I'm not gonna go out of my way and spend $20 for a bottle of this. I mean, for $20, if I wanted to have champagne, I'd go buy champagne. If I wanted to have a nice glass of wine, I'd go buy a nice glass of wine. I think this is kind of right in the middle of the road. I think they do a good job with it, but it's not what I'm looking for in a beer.
Joby?
Yeah, I mean, this being quote-unquote champagne of beers, the only times I would buy this maybe at New Year's, big celebration, 1 or 2 bottles, not ever, you know, going out and stocking the fridge with this. So for me, this is a novelty type of beer. Paying $20 for a bottle of this, that'd be hard for me to do. I'll go 6. I mean, I like it, and it tastes good. It's good drinkability, a little high ABV, but again, once every year, once every 6 or 8 months, I could see myself maybe if Mark buys it for me, drink it.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Mark, you bought it.
Yes.
So obviously you have the willingness to fork over the $20 the first time.
Right.
Do you have the willingness to fork over the $20 a second time?
Certainly.
Certainly?
Yeah.
What's your rating?
You know, I feel like these guys aren't going to see eye to eye with me, obviously, and I think that there's a lot of people out there that may not see eye to eye.
Well, tell me why they are wrong.
I don't think that they're wrong because, I mean, obviously this is all up to speculation. And, I mean, their opinion is their opinion, and I'm not going to try and rip on them at all. I honestly feel like this beer is actually a 9, and for a few reasons why. For $20 a pop, you're actually getting something pretty incredible in terms that you're talking about, you know, the oldest brewery in the world and also one of the most well-renowned craft breweries in America doing a collaborative effort to try something new. And I know that there's a lot of breweries out there that get together and do collaborative brews that become very successful. And so like Joby said, he said it's novelty, and that may be the case. But I think that they definitely hit something good here. The whole characteristic of the beer, I think, is very pleasurable. And of course, you know, I wouldn't mind spending $20 again on this beer because I think it's good.
Well, they said that they were setting out to do something under reiheitsgebot that had never been done before. Do you feel like this has never been done before? Or, I mean, obviously you can't speak for every beer ever,
right,
but
and
is
I can't
this
say
unique for you?
This is extremely unique for me. You know, I've never met its equal in sense of the way it smells, the way it tastes, the overall presentation of the beer. I think it's pretty incredible.
And I think from that, I mean, just that reiheitsgebot thing, I mean, that is impressive. That you're doing that with 4 ingredients. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're able to pull out different flavors and all of those different characteristics of the beer.
And that's
just
what
using
I'm saying.
Basic
while you personally may not
ingredients.
enjoy the beer as much, put your bias aside and actually assess it like that.
Pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm not bashing your 5 or 6 or whatever you gave it. I'm just saying, based on its own merit, I think that this wage is pretty high. You know, just for what it is in and of itself.
And again, I didn't say I think it is a good beer, and Joey thinks it's a good beer, but we are just in the realm of, you know, I'm not going to pay $20 for this beer. I will pay $20 for a beer, but if it's a $20 beer, this is not going to be the first one that I'm going to grab off the shelf. I'm going to grab some other $20 beers off the shelf.
So the question I have for you, Mark, we've been doing in the past couple episodes, we've been doing some blind taste tests. Pure taste alone without knowing any collaboration, any looking of the bottle, would it still be a 9 for you?
It's really hard to say, obviously,
right.
But I feel confident that what it would be is strictly on the uniqueness of the beer, because I think that this really brings something to the table that not only is new, that I've never had before, but extremely pleasurable. Put the price per 750 milliliters to the side.
Right.
If this were $10 for a fifth of this beer, would your rating be higher? I think you guys are going to say yes, and you're just too proud to, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is that
I'm still kind of on the fence because again, with what Jovi was saying, I think blind. I don't think that we would have recognized that this had champagne characteristics. It was very caramely. It was very sweet. You know, you could definitely tell. You could pull out the ABV because it did dry your mouth at the end. I think you could pull that out. You could pull out that there was no bitterness to it, but I don't think you could pull out that champagne-y characteristic, a special occasion champagne-y characteristic. I think you can see it. You can see it in the bubbles, but that's about it. I mean, it didn't have a special champagne mouthfeel. It was still kind of caramely and rich, just like a regular beer would be.
What's a bottle of champagne cost? Like a good solid bottle?
I mean, $50.
Oh, you can get that high? Okay.
Well, I mean, you can get into the hundreds and thousands.
You can get that high. No,
you can get it for $5
a decent bottle of champagne would be right around $50.
Yeah. Well, then again, New Year's Eve, if I had the choice, I'd get this over champagne because I could take or leave champagne any day of the week. But I think this is a pretty good substitute for champagne.
Not me. I mean, this is not a substitute for champagne for me. I think.
All right. Well, it's a controversial beer, no matter what you think of it. Infinium gets a 7.0 on the BBA scale. Have you had this beer? Is it a special occasion beer for you? Let us know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. I'm James Knott, and this is your Better Beer Authority.
Better Beer Authority.